Electricast.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible. In golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
McDonald's meets the Minecraft universe with one of 6 collectibles and your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets with spicy Nether Flame sauce. Now available with a Minecraft movie meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time, a Minecraft movie only in theaters.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the final power ranking show of the 2024-2025 NFL season. We took the week off last week because it was Christmas week. It was kind of hard to figure out what games were presented on what each week anyway. There was a lot of football over the last week. There's a lot to get through, a lot to talk about. Not to worry, though. Don't fret. We will be back converting this show into a playoff picture, playoff scenario, what's happening around the league in the knockout tournament type show as of next week when everything starts kicking off. But tonight we're talking about possible teams getting in the hunt. I want to start the show with a little bit of news, as we always do. Pat McAfee has been in the news this week. As much as I'm loath to talk about him, here we are. He sent out a long tweet essentially calling out the culture, I guess you could call it, I was going to call them the Cincinnati Colts. They were never that. The Indianapolis Colts, after a pretty debilitating loss to the New York Football Giants, basically saying, like, listen, I know people were mad at me for the things I was saying about this franchise being a losing franchise and the coach and what we're getting on. But I mean, look, you know, the evidence is right in front of you. When your quarterback quits in the red zone and says he doesn't want to come out, you see what you see. So, Bobby, what do you make of McAfee's tweet? I personally think he's right. I mean, it's like the culture there is obviously messed up. The Colts still had a chance to potentially make the playoffs and, you know, be a 500 team, be still in the hunt. And they just didn't show up against the worst team in the league. I would imagine Colts fans are understandably frustrated, but I mean, how would you feel if you were a Colts fan? Would you be pro-Mac or anti-Mac?
Well, you got to be pro-Mac, right? Because I think the culture solidified itself when Anthony Richardson asked to leave the game early. Like, what was that, 3 weeks ago? Asked to leave the game early as the starting quarterback in the NFL. That doesn't go to show that the culture is doing very well. Steichen, to me, has lost that entire locker room. It just seems like everything he does either backfires. I mean, and then you even look at, like, the play on the field, the play like Jonathan Taylor losing the ball before he crosses the end zone. It's like just stupid mistakes that this team makes.
Dude, public service announcement for that move. I mean, honestly, I feel like we see 2 to 3 examples of it every single season if you include the college game, because we saw one. It didn't end in disaster this week in college, but you got to carry the ball across the end zone, guys. I'm sorry.
I've never understood it.
It doesn't look cool.
Ever.
It doesn't look that cool to just like drop it like that. Like, dude, just carry it with you like it's a precious, precious baby. They should be doing drills where they give them all like lifelike baby dolls that cry, and they should make them run across the threshold every single time with the baby and not drop it. That should be the drill that every high school is practicing or whatever. I mean, it's insane to me every time it happens. It makes me absolutely apoplectic every time it happens because it's such a sloppy fucking move. Like it's just sloppy, you know. I just I feel like I would bench anybody that did that, no matter who they were. But that's just me. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with McAfee. When the culture is wrong, the culture is wrong, and when you lose to a team like the Giants, who have absolutely given up on their season and are absolutely the worst team in the NFL, and don't even gain anything from winning, the team literally would benefit.
I know they like shouldn't have won. You know, I mean, right. So, I know there was players in the locker room afterwards sort of saying, you know, it's kind of hard to tank in the NFL. I mean, it makes sense to me this point. I forget exactly who said it. It was one of the Giants players. where he was like, look, it's hard to tank in the NFL because like you get hit. Like I'm not just gonna like go out there and get my clock cleaned so we can have like a higher draft pick. Like I gotta try to play because if I'm not playing hard, then I'm gonna get fucked up. So I kind of get it. Like I kind of understand that scenario. As like I mean, you can just miss shots in the NBA, right? Like nothing really goes that badly. But there's even I mean, there's advanced analytics now. So when teams are looking to trade for guys or pay guys, there's a whole stat sheet they have that is going to factor into those decisions now, right? So you don't I see no tangible reason why as a freelance employee of a place you would put your own career on the line to help that franchise suck more so that they could get a better player than you next year, right? Like that just doesn't like really compute to me if I'm in that player situation, right? So I understand like that. It's not the first time we've seen. I feel like the reaction of the national media was strange. It was like the first time we've seen like a team that were about to get the number one overall pick win in the second to last week. We saw the Texans last year. It's a thing that happens all the time because like you find a little bit of a dead cat bounce, a little bit of pride at the end of the season, and these players like a lot of them might not be there the following year. You know what I mean? They need to put some shit on tape, guys. Like these franchises that are losing out, they think, oh my God, they're going to fuck this up. They're going to do something stupid and finally win a game at like the worst possible time. And it's like, well, I mean, they're playing a game of football, guys. Like if the other team doesn't show up, I mean, there was probably the worst example, the Colts this weekend of like just really not showing up in a situation where you had something to play for and they really didn't. The Colts should have done them the favor, I guess is my point. Like the Giants can lose. We've seen them do that this season. They've really shown in spectacular fashion how good they are at losing. And I really think that all the blame is on the Colts here for not showing up. I think they fucked everybody's day up, including their own.
Agreed. And definitely including Pat McAfee's apparently. Pat McAfee had a very bad day.
I really don't think that he's wrong. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his platform as far as like the people that he has on, first and foremost. Aaron Rodgers talking about vaccination status in 2024. Like anybody wants to fucking hear that shit. Like, dude, that time is over. Nobody wants to talk about that shit anymore. Honestly, it's done. So I'm good. But yeah, did I enjoy Aaron Rodgers' dismal performance on the field this year? Yeah. Do I enjoy his dismal performance on the Pat McAfee show? No. Why? Because I have to listen to him talk then, and I just don't want to hear that. But hey, I'm with Pat on this one. I guess is my overall point. Sounds like Bobby is too. I don't see any problem with a former player that I mean, he was a punter, but he like found success in Indianapolis. And I don't see a problem with a former player coming out and being like, hey, I don't love to see the direction my club is going in.
Steichen has to go, right? That guy's got to go.
Of course. I mean, of course. Like you said at the very top, like he has definitely lost the locker room. I mean, I know as a Bears fan what that looks like. And there's nothing worse than like them still being there. The weeks like that immediately follow the week that definitively tells you he's lost the locker room are the worst weeks of being a football fan that I've ever experienced. Like I haven't even really minded the sort of apathy that has come with like the interim head coach because I can at least like look forward now, right? I can be like, where's the club going to go? Where's the football team going to go? What is our coach? Who's our coach going to be? The debates around that. We're at least looking towards the future. You are in a terrible situation of basically being apoplectic about your coach and
a lame duck coach. Yeah,
absolute lame duck coach. It's the most obvious thing in the world that he's a lame duck coach. Do you think that Jerry Jones might? Yeah, I find him like to be a very. Let's just quickly touch on this because we've kind of been avoiding the topic of the Cowboys, and I do think that we have to like look forward a little bit here. Do you think that in your experience as a Cowboys fan, do you think he's the kind of owner that I guess the way I would phrase the question is, he'll spend money, right? Like you're aware that Jerry Jones will like splash the cash, right? He's not trying to cut corners. It's sort of he's not a lame duck GM in the sense that he's also the owner, so he's always going to have that juice, right? Like he's always going to be able to make moves in a completely thought out and what's the word I'm looking for? definitive direction, right? Like he can really be decisive about the things that he does because there's nobody above him. So you would think in theory that's like the guy you would want to have there, right? Where do you think his missteps are? Is he, when he's willing to pay, is he paying the wrong people? Is it an ego-based thing? Is it the culture that trickles down from him? Is it all the above? I mean, I know you've said in the past, the first thing you got to do is fire McCarthy, but you've been recycling coaches. You've been on a cycle, just like the Bears, on this vicious roundabout, this vicious merry-go-round of like the same pattern repeating over and over again. Firing a coach, in the second year of a QB coming in, like this horrible thing the Bears are in. You guys are in a sort of a repetitive cycle with head coaches now. And I just wonder if it comes back to the discussion we had a lot last season, but something we really haven't touched on this season, and in part because he got injured. Can anybody win with this fucking guy at quarterback? I don't know. I'm really not 100% sure. And he just got paid. So what's your ideal direction here? And am I wrong about Dak? And like that's, or, is in pie in the sky phase. Are you looking towards him still leading you to the promised land?
Well, we don't really have a choice there. Dak's the guy, and he's the guy moving forward just because they paid him to be that guy.
Yeah.
As far as Jerry goes, he actually doesn't pay people. He runs it like, I mean, the reason that they didn't sign Derrick Henry is because he said we couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford that contract this year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He every year he cheaps out on free agents. He only signs them to like 1 year veteran minimum deals. It never makes the big splash free agent deal when there's obvious holes that need to be filled. He already is talking about being cheap in the upcoming offseason, and saying that they don't have much on the cap and that they have to save their money for Micah, which is true.
But to his point, right? And I, just to take the other side of this, he said in September, we spent more money this year than anybody else with signing CD to like 136 or whatever it was, and then the 200+ million contract that Dak got. He did make a commitment to the players that were there, which is, I can tell you from the opposite end. When I see the Khalil Macks of the world still performing at a really high level at edge, and our previous GM or our current GM, like didn't want to pay him, then that's, to me, like that's a worse case scenario than like making sure you lock up CeeDee Lamb, who's like the top 1 to 3 guy in the league, right? So, I mean, and if you believe in your quarterback, him too, right? So do you have a rebuttal to Jerry himself saying, he's like, look, at least I'm like going for my guys. I know he doesn't make splashy decisions in free agency, or hasn't probably in the last 3 years, but
Takes more than 3 guys to win a championship.
You got a good old line too. Like he's doing everything that he's paying everybody that he believes is pertinent to Dak's success.
It hasn't wound up as success on the field, though, is the only thing. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if you're counting regular season success, it has, but it hasn't wound up in success in the playoffs. So we just need something to get us over that edge. And the thing is Dak Prescott is going to be the quarterback of this football team. So that's one thing you can do about that. Right. That's one thing that's not going to change moving forward. So there's one thing that you can change, and that's the head coach of this team. You got to bring in someone that changes the culture. You need a leader of men. You need a leader of men. I would love a Vrabel. Personally,
everybody wants Vrabel. Everybody wanted him last season. He didn't get a job. He's like the water boy on the Browns.
I need culture. I need culture on this team.
I've switched. I was saying Vrabel, as you know, week to week for the Bears. I've switched. I'm on the Ben Johnson train now. I'm on the Ben Johnson train. I've become a believer, a Ben believer. I was watching that wishbone like toss play that the Lions pulled out against the 49ers on Monday night, and I was like, this guy might be like a next level football mind.
They were unbelievable on Monday night.
They were
nothing
unbelievable.
To play for.
I mean,
nothing to play for, and they're just going balls to the wall, bro.
But also, like 29 players on IR, like all on the defense, plus David Montgomery, right? And like they're just like, whatever, we're still gonna fucking style. I mean, I have a buddy that is just adamant that Dan Campbell is a fucking knucklehead, right? Like that he just is an idiot, and like he is getting propped up by Ben Johnson, and he makes really dumb decisions in really high profile moments, which is true. It's been like considerably true in the past, but he brought culture, right? Like he certainly brought culture to the Lions. I mean, they're the John Daly of the NFL as of right now. So yeah, he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and he is at least who he is. I mean, he's 100% authentic. I think he's an authentic guy. So we'll see. I'd love to see him win a Super Bowl. I think it's going to be tough with the injuries that they have and the decisions he makes in high profile moments, like I said, and the Chiefs kind of steaming down the playoff road. I want to see how they look, but it would be cool to see them win. And then I think if they won, Ben Johnson's like, great, like I'm leaving as a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. I can go anywhere now. And it's like, fine. I designed this offense. I got you a Super Bowl. We should part on good terms at that point. Right. And he comes over to Chicago in an ideal world for me. I think a lot of people are like, you're not getting him. And I understand why, because we're probably going to do something stupid. Sign a guy you've never heard of, the defensive coordinator in Cleveland or whatever. And it's going to be upsetting. I think that's probably what's going to happen over there in Chicagoland. But I would love Ben Johnson just purely on the idea that I think what he could do is put a real quarterback heavy offensive coordinator in, a guy that's really, really, really there to like work with Caleb Williams, concentrate on Caleb Williams, like coordinate the passing attack, be his like week in, week out guy. And Johnson can sort of like de facto handle the play calling and the big picture stuff. And then I would love to go get Robert Saleh as DC. This is like my dream wish list walking into Target now. If it was Vrabel, I wouldn't be upset. I know I was Vrabel for a long time and I switched, but it's an emotional roller coaster out here. I can't decide. If it was Vrabel, I wouldn't be upset. For me, I don't know why they wouldn't hire him in New England. And I said the same thing last year. I don't know why Mike Vrabel's not the head coach of the New England Patriots. It just seems like
he's got to go.
Mayo's got to go. I mean that the fact that I was seeing on the ticker, I think we talked about this in the Discord chat too. Mayo expected to return. This was like 2 Sundays ago. Mayo expected to return. We didn't do a show after this game week. Just on the ticker as the Patriots game started up. So somebody had obviously said something to someone. And I'm like, excuse me? And then you like just watch them put out a pretty decent performance against the Buffalo Bills in the first half and then still lose. And then, as expected, they lose again. They're sitting pretty for the number 1 spot with the Giants and their decision making. And you got to fire that head coach and clean house in there and bring Vrabel, obviously, right? I mean, he's a former Patriot. Like he's the guy who. It just makes too much sense, I think, as Ray would say if he was here. It makes too much sense for that to actually go down. Well, there you go. I think that the Colts culture conversation, wow, good alliteration there. The Colts culture conversation sort of parlayed into our teams because we also have culture issues, right? So, we're going to touch on those things. But I would like to say I have good news. As everybody that avidly listens to this show knows, we do a little game with ourselves, just a little internal fun game. We like to call the cross-offs. And it's just basically embarrassing if we have to uncross somebody. It's, whoever we think is definitely not going to make the playoffs. We try to stack the list early. And then we get a little bit more careful. And I'm happy to say we only missed 2 teams. 2 teams that are definitely not going to make the playoffs. They're out, and they weren't crossed off on our list. So I think that's pretty good. Coming into week 18, to be honest with you, we crossed off a bunch of teams. I'm not even going to count them. I'm just going to read them off. These are the ones we crossed off real early: Jags, Panthers, Raiders, Browns, Titans. Those are all 3 and 4 win teams. The Saints, they're 5 and 11, but people will remember we crossed them off pretty early. I fought pretty hard for this, Bob, if you remember, because I was like, they're going to turn into the Saints.
Remember.
Yeah. And they fucking did. They delivered. That was one at least decent point for us. The Giants, despite their being able to finally win a game, the Jets, I mean, Aaron Rodgers could have turned that ship around in theory. So it was brave of us to go early on them, I think. The Colts, the Colts up until last week when they quit on everybody, we had them already crossed off. That was risky, but you got to still keep crossing teams off. Otherwise, you're just playing like a bitch, and then bang, turns out we were right. Niners, again, talent filled. We're 500 at one point. Looked like maybe they could make a run, but we bet against them and we won. Here's an issue. The Dolphins could still make the playoffs and are crossed off. So that's gonna be a tough look come next week if the Dolphins make it in. Let me tell you the exact scenario that needs to happen. And it's like, I think kind of the most likely scenario out of the three teams, or out of the two teams that are still vying for it in the AFC. If they win their last game at the Jets and the Chiefs beat the Broncos, then they're in. That's kind of likely.
Carson Wentz is starting for the Chiefs, though, right? It's going to be backups for the Chiefs. So
you think the Chiefs are going to lose?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably not. Probably not.
I personally watched Kenny Pickett against the Dallas Cowboys, and y'all made him look like Jalen Hurts out there. So,
very true. It's the Broncos.
Who knows?
The Broncos defense is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I guess we'll see. So the Broncos need to lose, and the Dolphins need to win, right? Is it both or one? It's both.
Both.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'd bet on there. The Falcons, who we did not cross off, thankfully, still have a chance to get in. They need to win their last game against the Panthers, and the Bucs have to lose to the Saints. I think we should make a brave call here and cross the Falcons off. I think we should pick the Buccaneers to make it in, and that way it'll add to our cross-offs list that we were right about going into the playoffs, and we'll not be bitches. We're going to cross the Falcons off just to be brave. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be good. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals for a second. If Miami loses, and we're hoping for that anyway, to the Jets, divisional game, so who knows?
Possible. Yeah, it's possible.
And then the Bengals, then they need to also beat the Steelers. Now, the Steelers aren't a 3-game skid. So, and then the Bengals are actually looking pretty decent, to be honest with you. So, it's a good time to be seeing the Steelers. If this was 4 weeks ago, I probably wouldn't have said that, but they have really been fucking letting me down week on week for the last 3 weeks. Just had a bad Christmas period. I think, some people have been saying about the Steelers, well, that's a tough schedule. They keep having to do the Saturday, Wednesday thing. It's throwing them off. They flex the Saturday again for this playoff matchup.
Is that what Leah said? That's what Leah's saying.
Leah's more mad at them. I was talking more about former players. Leah's more a hold responsibility to the at the feet of the people there. I mean, for me, I kind of keep being well, Pickens was out, and the schedule was tough. I think there's still a sliver of a possibility that they could decide to be the team that they've looked like at times this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's just mad at them. I would say is what I would describe, because she just is they just are fucking coming up short, and she's pretty frustrated with Russ. I kind of keep banging the drum of yeah, but Russ always had stretches like this every season, right? Where he would just throw a few inexplicable rollout picks, and you would be like, oh, but then they would get hot right around playoff time, the Seahawks, and then they would he would be able to go downhill in the playoffs a couple times, and it'd be all right. So I think he can raise his play. I saw some people online calling for Justin Fields. You can't do that.
No, you can't. You can't.
Sorry. No, not in this scenario. That's not possible anymore, guys. I mean, if I don't know. I mean, if Russ got hurt, could you have a Nick Foles, Carson Wentz situation unfold? Yeah, maybe. But the reason that people still talk about that is because of how unlikely it was. So I wouldn't bet on it. And plus, Russ is healthy as of right now. And to me, I mean, their run game is mind-boggling. The way the Steelers run the ball, I don't understand it. I don't understand the blocking schemes. Neither does Najee Harris, by the way. He also does not understand the blocking schemes that are in front of him. I've never seen a dude run into the ass of a guy in this same color uniform as him, like since prison football. I can't possibly fathom why Najee Harris can't see a hole. I think he might need contact lenses. I think he might have a Jameis Winston issue going on because
It's always been
he
a
kind of
problem.
runs with his head down.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. He cannot hit a hole. It's weird because like I love the kind of runner. I know you'll get this. I love the kind of runner that Najee Harris is, like the kind of runner that he is. Like the absolute apex of the kind of runner that Najee Harris is like Derrick Henry, right? Where it's like if you let him hit a hole and hit open field, it's just like a horse has left the stable, and we got to all calm it down at once. And it's like it's great to watch. That's his apex. It's the best he could possibly hope for in a given week. The Marshawn Lynch style runner, but Marshawn Lynch could read an offensive blocking scheme better than like any running back, right? Like he really knew how to read the offense and like hit a hole. That's why he was so good. Yeah, he was a specimen and he was fast as hell and he was huge and hard to take down and like had all the things, but he could really read a blocking scheme. So the way they run, and then I feel like the downs where they play Jalen Warren are the wrong ones, which is annoying when you have like a backfield committee. It's like, wait, you had that play, but it's like you're thinking about the defense reading your personnel too much. I think in a situation like that, you're trying to like throw one too many head fakes, and then you're getting caught on the return. And I just think, their running game, it doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to under Smith. So I'm a little concerned about that, and they definitely need to get that locked in. They do have a fair amount of injuries, but I really want not enough for it to be an excuse. And the Lions aren't making an excuse of it, so nobody else gets to either. I've lost. I mean, the last time I was on the show was like before this skit, and I have lost faith in their ability to win any meaningful games in the playoffs. If they played the playoffs today, they'd be playing the Texans. I think they would win that game. I still do think that. But then they would have to move on and play, a Ravens who they've already proven, yes, they can beat, but then they can prove they can lose to them too. So, who knows what would happen there? Potentially a Chiefs in that scenario. That wouldn't look good. I don't think so. I don't know. What do you make of them?
I mean, a couple weeks ago, you were on the boat that they could actually make a Super Bowl run. A couple of losses.
That's what they look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad losses, though. Bad losses, no?
They were the good teams, though. That's the thing is they were the good teams. I wouldn't say I'm high on them. But it just depends on what Russ does. That's what it comes down to. It all comes down to Russell Wilson.
I know they're no longer my. It's not that like they're bad. It's just they're no longer like my great hope to stop the three-peat. You know what I mean? Like they legitimately were, and now I'm like, I don't know.
I do think that they have a chance to lose to the Bengals, though, which is where we started.
You think?
I think the Bengals have the best offense in the league at this point. If they look like the best offense in the league. They certainly have the best quarterback in the league right now.
The Lions probably would have a thing or two to say about that, but they're up there for sure.
That's true. I just want to see the Bengals in the playoffs. Out of the three teams that are in the running, the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Bengals, it's got to be the Bengals. They make the most fun for that first week. A Bills-Bengals matchup wouldn't be too bad for that first wild card weekend.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I would like to see that. And that'd be kind of cool to have three teams in that division then in the playoffs, right? That's how that would work. So we would have three teams in two different divisions in the playoffs.
Both of the Norths.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, the two Norths. That's like the War of the Norths. That would just be a cool scenario, I think, for the neutral, I suppose. All right. One quick thing before we get into the power rankings. Our honorable mention section, we actually have 4 locked playoff teams. The Texans, the Commanders, the Rams, and the Chargers. These are 4 teams getting into the playoffs. But our own Robert Kelly thinks that the 9-7 Bucks are higher up in power. They are ranked higher in power than all 4 of those teams. He is about to make the case to you, the listener, why the Buccaneers are sitting pretty at the final number 10 spot across the entire power rankings series over those 4 teams. Because to me,
Well, the Commanders are in the power.
I would probably put the Commanders and the Chargers and the Rams all above them. They are. You're right. So sorry. They're in. I just didn't take them out of this section. It's only 3 teams then. The the Texans, the Rams, and the Chargers. I think I would probably put the Chargers and the Rams above the Bucks, but I might not put the Texans. Talk to me about these teams and your thinking going into it, because you've made a good case for the Bucks this year. You've been pro Buck, and you've been the Joe Buck of pro Buck football here on the Power Rankings. I mean, you've made a definitive case for them, and they are potentially about to get into the playoffs. I'd say likely about to get into the playoffs, because I don't see them losing to the Saints.
Yeah, they gotta beat.
Yeah, they gotta, but I think they will. I don't see the Saints playing spoiler. Baker's been a lot of fun. Talk to me about your pet project this year.
It's Baker. That's the reason I have him ranked right here, is because of how good Baker Mayfield is playing. And he looks like the number 1 pick that everyone thought he was going to be. He has 4,500 passing yards and over 40 touchdowns this year. It's not something that is, he's going to turn into a pumpkin or anything like that. Like, this is just who Baker Mayfield is at this point. And I just, with the offense playing the way it is, I just have trouble taking them off the top 10. They were still there from 2 weeks ago. And just because of that outing against the Panthers, I couldn't do it. I couldn't take them off. The Chargers were the team that I really thought about putting here at number 10. Because I really think they can make some noise. I hope they play the Texans in the first round of the playoffs, because I think if they play the Texans, they can absolutely beat them. So the Chargers were the one team I thought about putting here, but I couldn't take them.
What about those Rams, though? 500 but at their bye week, below 500 at their bye week, and now looking like a 10-win team. A 10-win team, no one saw, and that's twice in a row they've done that to us now. Like, doubt them at your peril. And now you're doubting them. It's your peril.
I know. Matthew Stafford. I don't know. I just have more faith in the Bucs right now over the Rams. I just do.
All right. I think I would probably position myself more with the Rams, just because I understand why people have had fun watching the Bucs this year. I think that their receivers are a lot of fun. I think that Baker's a lot of fun. He's a good player. He's fun to watch play football. But I've just had a little bit more fun with the Rams. I feel like I've been like kind of on the McVay train. I've like sort of been unwavering in my favoritism. Is like I think he's my favorite head coach in the NFL. Just the way he plays, the way he sets up the team. He kind of revolutionized a lot of offensive football. His coaching tree's all good. They're all good coaches. I like Puka. I like the Puka story. I like the way he plays football. I think he's just a scoring machine. Had him on my fantasy team that just won our MTP fantasy league. Shout out me. Shout out the Pickle Ricks, champions of fantasy football 24-25. Got my redemption game against your friend Riley, and I came out on top. Now we're 1-1. So I look forward to seeing him in the rubber match in next year's championship.
Hey.
I think you had the best draft.
I did have the best draft this year. I lost.
I think you had the best draft easily.
Yeah. I never should have.
You scored the most points in the regular season of anybody.
I never should have traded you, A-Chain. I never should have done that.
You shouldn't have done that. I was a little surprised you did that.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that you did that one. I think that won me the thing. I think that's what got me over the edge. I'll say this, though. I started 2 players that I drafted in the championship game. So I think there's something to be said for wheeling and dealing. And he doesn't listen to this, so I don't mind saying this. My next door neighbor that I got on the thing refused to do trades or really fuck with even the waiver wire. And his team started out good and then like went shitty. And I was like, I don't like this guy or how he plays fantasy football. He's out. He's getting kicked out. So I guess it's a cutthroat league where if you fucking annoy the shit out of me, you get fucking cut.
You're out.
So there it goes. So Riley said he might have somebody that would join, and I'd welcome another good player. I like the higher competitive like leagues. Like I prefer to be in a league where most everybody's good. I know you need a couple of like guys, right? Otherwise it just becomes like ridiculous. Like it's just it's kind of just down to the waiver wire rankings, like if everybody is just like on point. But because Riley beat me to everybody I wanted in the waiver wire because I think I utilize it too much. You gotta get patient. I gotta get patient about that. But whatever, I'm the fucking champion, so maybe I did everything right. Yeah, good year for fantasy football. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to next season. I would love to not be the commissioner anymore. How likely do you see that playing out?
Not very likely.
Would anyone else do it?
Yeah, no one else wants to be a commissioner, so you're probably gonna have to do it again.
Yeah, nobody does because it sucks.
Yeah,
that's why.
No one wants to be commissioner.
I don't know who would want that job. I don't know what kind of personality you would need to have to want that job. Leah again had a season where she scored the second most points and she didn't even get in the playoffs. And I'm like, well, I think you can take solace in that, in the fact that your team was good. You just played the wrong people in the wrong weeks.
6 teams in the playoffs and she didn't make it. Second in scoring. Wow.
And second in scoring. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That is nuts, right? Yeah, that's a bad luck season right there. I gotta get away from her luck. She's gonna get all over me. All right. That's enough of our personal fantasy football. For all the listeners at home. Yeah. Anyway, good chat about the Bucks. The Commanders looked pretty convincing in that win over the Falcons. I feel like I think I was saying to you before we started. I think that was maybe my favorite game of the season. I had a really good time watching it. It was back and forth. Went to OT. Just had all the great makings of a great Sunday night football game. It was just exactly that. What do you make of the Commanders overall as a team this year? I think that they're obviously way ahead of schedule. I think they're this year's Texans, right? I mean, they're almost identical to last year's Texans.
Yeah.
Rookie QB playing out of his mind. Everybody's high on the coach. Everybody's high on the culture and the way they're playing football. Wouldn't be surprised if they had a sophomore slump next season, somewhat like Texas did, although they're a playoff team. Regardless of maybe not looking quite as good as we thought they were going to look, and CJ Stroud specifically not kind of balling out. Maybe he was a victim of his own expectations here. But what do you see for the Commanders if they went in today, which a lot can change in this coming last game week? But if they went in today, they play the Rams. And if I was anybody, I wouldn't want to really see the Rams. How would you see that game going? And what do you make of this Commanders team?
I think the Commanders are a team. They're definitely a year ahead of schedule. But I would take the Rams in that game.
I think even Campbell would admit that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just see them being able to at least. I think they can get one win in the playoffs. Not much more than that. Jaden Daniels, though, man, he has rubber for knees. I was so scared on that one play.
That was crazy,
man.
I thought he was done for. I was like, oh, I had a bad I don't want to see that reaction. It was gross.
Yeah, every Commanders fan definitely had their stomach turn when that happened. Imagine if he actually hurt his knee on that play. How bad that would have been.
I know. No, I want to see him in the playoffs though. I want this to be spicy. We want all these matchups to be the best matchups that they could be because none of our teams are in it. So the NFC playoffs have no impact on our lives this year. So, I just want to see the matchups be good. So I don't want to see him hurt in any way. I want him to be at his best. And he's looking like he's playing. I mean, he's playing great. He's the most nonchalant quarterback I think I've ever seen. He's just very kind of strolls across the first down marker.
Yeah.
I feel like he might lose a lot of fumbles in the coming years. He might need to pick that up. The Packers are one up on them in the power rankings. I think they're fucking frauds losing to the Vikings like that, divisionally rolling over like that.
Are you sure the Vikings
I think you
good?
and I have both been. I'm trying to think they might be.
I think the Vikings might be really good, man. I think it's very possible that they're really good. That defense is everything that the Cowboys tried to be for years, or we thought they were. That defense is unbelievable.
I think Darnold might be good.
And I think Darnold might actually be good, man. He looks unbelievable. So I don't know if the Packers are frauds or if the Vikings are just really good.
both things could be true.
That's
Because like I haven't been and you haven't been a big love guy. Either of us. I mean, I know why I'm not, because I had to go and hate him. But we've both been sort of like, I don't know if it's like that good. And like he knocked your team out of the playoffs last year, and I get that, but also like you saw him play, and you were like, I think my team just didn't show up. I don't think that you saw, and I certainly didn't see Jordan Love like step out there and just like stomp on the Cowboys. I saw the Cowboys like trip over their own dicks like they always do in the divisional round against the Packers. So I don't know. I guess we'll see about both those teams. It's tough for me because the Vikings always have good regular season records. Like it could very easily be a Kirk Cousins Vikings situation. They always have like multiple double-digit wins, and they've also been in a shitload of one-score games that they won, which you could look at one of two ways, right? You could look at that as like, oh, they're a team that finds a way to win, or you could look at it like, I mean, they could have easily lost all those fucking games, and then we wouldn't be talking about them like this. I mean, they let the Bears come back on them. The Bears are fucking terrible. So, no, I'm not ready to admit that yet. I think that I've seen the 14-2 Lions play all season, and I've seen the 14-2 Vikings play all season, and I will not let anybody tell me that the Vikings are better than the Lions. Like nobody is fucking telling me the Vikings are better than the Lions.
That's fair.
So I think that means that their 14-2 is slightly more fraud adjacent than the Lions 14-2, which I don't know if that's saying much, but if you agree with me there, like if they played each other, which is possible, I mean the Vikings. I'll put it to you this way. Let me frame the Vikings team another way. If they win in the playoffs today, and I think probably this is going to be the scenario because the Bucs need to win to get in. So if the Vikings win and the Bucs win, I think they still play each other, but if it was right now, they would play each other. And I think you could see, of all people, the Bucs beating the Vikings.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Right. So,
yeah, I guess out of all the teams that are in that top tier, the Vikings are the most likely to go home early. But I could also see, out of all the teams that I have ranked 5, so like the Steelers, the Commanders, the Bucs, I could see the Packers being the team out of all of them that actually makes a run. You know what I mean? At the same time. So yes, I think they could be frauds, but out of all the teams that are ranked in that lower half of the power rankings, I could see them making a run. It all comes down to
also because the NFC is just a weaker playoff picture, right? Like everything on the NFC side almost is sort of a little softer of a gauntlet than the AFC side, still, in my opinion, right? Like you don't want to have to play the Steelers, you don't want to have to play the Bengals, you don't want to have to play the Ravens. Like those are all fucking scary teams over there. Like they're all big boys, and I feel like the Packers potentially fraudulent, the Vikings potentially fraudulent. There's a lot of potential fraud in the NFC right now, and like. What happens when two fraudulent teams play each other? Like nobody gets found out, right? I think you need they might make a run, the Packers, but if they see the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, like they're getting smacked. They're getting absolutely fucking smacked.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like I like if they make a run, this is just me hedging my bets. If they make a run, I'm still not going to admit that they're that good. You know what I mean? Because if their run is through the Buccaneers. And then the Vikings, and then, you know what I mean? And then they see the Eagles and they lose? No. Like, especially if it's a smackdown. I'll still be a hater till my dying day.
Well, I don't big Packers hater myself, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think both can be true, but at the end of the day, I do think the Vikings are a legit team. I know we kind of jumped ahead to talk about them, but I think they're legit, man. I think Sam Darnold is
not really. I mean, we had already sort of talked. We talked about them in the context of the Packers. We talked about the Steelers already, and really all we have left to do is talk about the Bills, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. Let's talk Ravens real quick. Is Josh Allen still your MVP, or would you give it to somebody else after the last 3 weeks as everything's sort of solidified?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Josh Allen should win it because of what he has. the weapons around him aren't as good as what Lamar has. But Lamar is having the most
Sure.
unbelievable, ridiculous statistical season like I've ever seen.
He really is. He's playing great. And also, I mean, I made a shout for Saquon when everybody was sucking up Derrick Henry in the first 8 weeks, and then the Eagles were like, "Oh, we don't actually have to use him too much. We can like bust him back out in the playoffs." Or the Ravens, I mean. So then, but Saquon has literally about to have the best season of any running back ever. So, by yards at least. So you and Mike fucking got on my ass when I said he might be in the MVP race, and now it's at least a conversation. I still think it's probably going to go to a quarterback, but at least it's being talked about, right? Would you be mad if he won it?
No, especially if he breaks the record, which he very well might. So,
Yeah. Do they play him? Do you think? I haven't read anything about this. Do you think they're going to play him? I mean, it would be smarter to just bench him, right?
it would be smarter to bench him. They said Sirianni said he's going to talk to the players, he's going to talk to the owner, he's going to talk to everyone. It would definitely be smarter to sit him. Imagine if he got hurt and they didn't win the Super Bowl because he was trying to break the record. That'd be really shitty.
Yeah, that would be really bad coaching. That would be really annoying. I think the team that taught us not to do shit like that. They're also playing the Giants though. So actually, now that I think about it, he might be able to break the record without being touched. So
It'd be pretty
there's a
sweet.
chance.
It'd be pretty
get to that record.
pretty sweet for him to break it against the Giants too after they let him go.
Do you know off the top of your head if the Lions were to lose? Oh, well, they can't get the 1 seed anyway because the Lions are playing the Vikings.
No, the Vikings.
So it's
the
either going to
Vikings,
be the Lions or the Vikings.
correct. The Vikings can still get the 1 seed though.
But so they're playing for the 1 seed.
Right.
The Lions and the Vikings are playing for the 1 seed. So that's interesting at least, right?
Yeah. No.
What do you do if you're the Lions? You know Campbell's going to play everybody.
Yeah. No. It's
right
for everything.
Surely.
Imagine being the Lions after the season they had, being in the 1 seed the entire year, having the best season in franchise history, and you might be on the road in the first round of the playoffs. It's very possible if you lose this game.
I don't think they will be. I think they're just going to beat the Vikings. That's what I think is going to happen.
It's probable. It's very probable.
The Chiefs have locked up the number 1 seed over on the other side with surprisingly mid Chiefs season, considering the amount of games they won.
So I almost put them back at number 1 on this just because they're 15-1. And
I understand.
It almost happened. I almost had to do it. I don't know.
America will be so happy if they just lose to the Bills, right? The nation, will be thrilled if they lose to the Bills. A Bills-Lions Super Bowl would be delightful.
That would be delightful. That would be very
delightful.
It would just be very satisfying, no matter what.
So here's what we do, right? We leave this podcast. We bet a Bills-Lions Super Bowl matchup because we don't let that Bengals call go unbet like we did a couple years ago. We go bet that Super Bowl matchup, and then we bet the over on whatever that is because it's going to be over. Whatever they say, points-wise, those points are going to be over. It's going to be 52-49. And it's going to be the most electric scoring Super Bowl you've ever seen in your life. Yeah, it's going to be full backyard football for the entire game. David Montgomery makes a miraculous comeback. Dan Campbell makes an inexplicable decision, but does it screw the Lions? Tune in next week to find out. Yeah. I mean, I think all these scenarios are heating up. I think the most interesting thing to watch for folks at home, I think this week will be those 3 or 4 teams that are still in the hunt. Most everybody has crashed out. So yes, admittedly, this week 18, there are a lot of meaningless games, which I think is actually the consequence of having the extra game. Because I think things get a little bit more decided by the time you get here. They have more room to at least, right? So another consequence of that extra game. Also, the fucking schedule is absolutely fucked. Christmas Day games. I mean, I know they absolutely crushed basketball in ratings, which is unsurprising, all things considered. But I still was kind of I don't know if I love this. I think maybe we should stick to basketball on Christmas Day. Because, you can't really watch the first one, at least in Los Angeles, because it's at 10 a.m. So you're I don't know, dude, I'm still watching little kids open presents.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they dominated. They completely dominated. It was, I think, I saw a thing that said over 200 million homes watch the Netflix games, and like
Yeah.
the ratings for the basketball were like 2.3 or something like that.
Yeah, I know. It was astronomically higher. And I wonder if that, like, if Netflix turned around and they go like, oh, we got to get in this game. Like, we absolutely got to get in this game when they see numbers like that, like right in front of them. You know, like I know they're kind of are doing that, but like the size of the company they are, if they step that up, oof, that's a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, listen, I think that's all she wrote. Everything's checked off on my list. Tune in next week for our full playoff preview. I don't know what cast of characters we're going to have, but we're going to talk about the definitive matchups that are happening. Who's injured? Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who's going to win it? Why it's the Chiefs? Why that's depressing? Tune in next week to hear all that and more from Missing the Point.
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. What did you do on your last Saturday night?
Did you hear something?
Toilet paper.
There's none. Nada. The reserves have gone dry. People are hoarding it. I should have done that.
They're all out of hand sanitizer at my Target.
Brooke, when did you last watch the news?
We are getting reports of forced quarantines in China, Japan, and now Italy.
You're cutting onions in half and putting them around your apartment.
Yes, exactly. It kills the COVID.
Excuse me?
Let's go. Let's go. Get in.
Vamos, rápido.
Have you ever driven one of these?
Never.
I'll drive, ladies.
I've got the keys.
Excuse me, I'm lost. I'm looking for my wife. I got turned around.
Join me, Eric Roberts, Jennifer Elise Cox, and Ed Asner for The Last Saturday Night, an Electrocast podcast. You'll love it. Electrocast. Electrocast.